All right, everybody, let's get going. I'm going to admit everybody in here. If you're joining me live on YouTube, this is our Thursday Roundtable Mastermind discussion. As we have everybody else coming in here, thanks for joining us. Looking forward to have a nice discussion with all of you and having some fun on the call today. I see everybody's got their QR codes up. I feel like I should have mine as well. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that on here as well. If you've got yours, feel free to bring that up. If you want to come live on camera, that is fine too. Also, let me suggest if you have your digital business card or want to connect with other people, please go in the chat. Tell us where you're joining from and go on ahead and share your digital business card so people can network with you, find you, connect you with you. Learn what you do and how you can help and serve others. That's part of the main goal here at Elify. So Thursday, Roundtable Mastermind, let's talk about it. This is an open conversation where we want to talk together and really allow that high tide to raise all ships, support each other and your success. This week's theme we've been talking about is goals and action items. And I'll go ahead and kick it off. I know for many of us, we start out the beginning of the year setting these big annual goals, right? This is where I want to be at the end of the year. And if you're using your measuring stick right now, we're one quarter, we're 25% of the way through the year. And the question is, are you making forward progress towards your goal? It doesn't have to be 25% towards your goal, but it has to be forward progress towards your goal. And one of the arguments we'd like to make, Guy and I always talk about this over here at Elify, is it's not just, it's one thing to have your annual goal. It's another thing to break that goal down into maybe a quarterly goal, and maybe you've already passed your first quarter goal, or to break it down even further to a monthly goal, or ideally where you want to break it down to our weekly and daily goals. Think about this. If we took our biggest goals and we broke them down to something that was weekly or daily that we could be focused on instead of looking forward at, we could chip away at that goal and make forward progress. A good example of this in the physical fitness arena would be, let's say you want to run a 10K, or my wife just got done running a half marathon, or I'm trying to lose a certain amount of weight. You know, you may have that as the big goal, but if you break it down to something that is a daily or weekly goal, you will be more likely to hit your long-term goal because you're actually focused on something that you can put in work on daily to make forward progress. And that really brings us to the next part, action items, right? What are the action items that you need to complete that are going to help you reach your daily and weekly goal, and then inevitably lead to that monthly, quarterly, annual goal achievement? And I had read an interesting article this morning. I was reviewing some stuff, educational, personal, and self-development stuff I had gone through a few years ago, just refreshing my mind. And there was a statement in the book, and it was, success is 20% knowledge and 80% action. Think about that, right? You can have 100% knowledge, but if you take zero action, you're not going to get anywhere. 80% of the results is action. 20% is knowing what actions to take and being in a position to tell yourself you don't need to know everything in order to start moving forward and making progress. So guys, with that being said, I want to open this up for anybody in the conversation to contribute. Again, feel free to throw your questions in the chat, raise your hand using the reactions on Zoom, or just go on ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question if you want to participate in the conversation. It's not my goal to make this conversation one-sided. I don't want to talk at you. I want to have a roundtable mastermind discussion with you. So Greg, Anna, Bill, anybody, Shelly, Sanders, feel free to come forward and ask a question or contribute to the conversation. Otherwise, it's going to be a short mastermind this Thursday. Oh, you might be muted. You might be muted, Sanders. It's good to have you on today.
I'll take a chance. Thank you. It's good to be here again. My internet connection is very slow and I have a lag when I speak. Seems to be working great for you guys, but it's me. Uh, Somewhere along the way on one of the MLMs that I was in, or still am in, I guess, you never really get out of those things once you get in them, it seems like. They were talking, I saw a blog post about how with that particular company that you could sell your account or leave it to someone if you decided to retire. Is there any prospects of Elify doing that?
Yeah, so I love that you brought that up, especially from the standpoint of building a passive residual income. What you're talking about is essentially creating a business, having that business and being able to will or sell that business to another person. That is completely available over here at Elify. In fact, if we have to transfer it, you just reach out to support and we can move that over. Or if you're willing it, obviously the same process. Your affiliate status is your business. Most people don't realize that when they become an affiliate or when they join a company, they're actually creating a business for themselves, right? And a business is no more than owning a system or a process that generates a revenue stream. And in our case, the focus is on passive residual revenue, Sanders. So as you build that up, a great way to think about valuing that. Let's talk about the value of that, because you talk about selling it off or willing it to family members. How do you value that? I typically like to think about valuing things almost like an annuity, right? If it's a passive residual income, you have money coming in and you can extrapolate that out, right? Present value of future cash flows is a way they do that in finance. And it'll give you an idea of how much the value of that income stream is of your affiliate program. And then your membership to that or your status in that is yours. So if you want to transfer that to somebody else, if you want to sell it to somebody else, just understand that you're physically transferring your entire Elify account over to that individual or to that person. Great question. I really appreciate you bringing that up. I also want to call out amazing background. You got a nice little highlight there of yourself, and then you've got your card example and your QR code. Already scanned it and got your information right here. So if you haven't taken a chance to network, guys, scan Scander's card or anybody else who has their QR code up. We need to network with each other. That's part of the whole thing, right? I say it all the time. Your network is your net worth. You hear it all the time. You guys got to start networking and working together. I know many people on here have met other people, and that has grown both of their businesses by working together. So yeah, Sanders, great question. And I hope that anybody who's looking at opportunities out there, whether it's the Elify affiliate program or any business venture, considers not just the short term, but the long term on that, the financial planning side of it. What am I going to do with the wealth that I'm creating in a sense? Am I going to be able to build that up and sell that off? Or am I going to be able to will that to my family members, etc.? We want to make sure you got that covered, Sanders. So any other questions?
I'll interject.
Yeah, good to have you on. Hi, Anna.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, ER. And thank you, Sanders, for reaching out to me here recently and checking out my cards. Just a heads up that one of the companies that I am a multipreneur with is Legalshield. So if you're looking at willing your businesses to someone, that's part of our basic service at $29.95 a month. Includes your will, your spouse or significant other's will, powers of attorney, durable medical directives, durable POAs, all of that is included, 5 documents, and you can renew that every year. So just a heads up, reach out to me. There's my little QR code. And we're bringing on more people this week. So I'm really excited. I start feeling like I get a handle on it until I watch Kathy play on Tuesdays. I could watch her all day.
I love that, Anna. Let me know if you have any additional questions. A few things on that, right? Tech Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Central. Anna was just referring to this. we want to bring everybody into a place that's a learning environment where we can all learn together. Most people overlook the power of the technology that they have at their fingertips, right? Think about your smartphone alone. We've got supercomputers in our pockets. Supercomputers in our pockets. That's like giving us superpowers. If you're just using those things to entertain yourself on social media or the news, etc., like you're missing out on the most important tool of our lifetime right now. You know what I mean? And then layering on that business support tools, I think is very important. So take advantage of that. If you're not familiar, if you're still thinking Shuffle is just a single digital business card, you're missing out on a ton of function. And to Anna's point, come on to those Tuesdays. The other thing I would say, Anna, you got to crawl before you walk, before you run. So just getting started and creating something worth sharing and starting to manage your contacts and doing those types of things in Shuffle, you're already starting to see the results of that. Like you said, you're seeing your business grow, you're connecting with people, you're sharing information, super powerful. And that's really what Elify is all about. And then lastly, with the Legalshield and stuff, guys, I mean, planning, being prepared, all of these types of things, it's no different over here at Elify. You want to be prepared. You want to have the right tools. You want to have the right things in place. So Anna, thanks for reminding everybody about that stuff and about making a will and setting up the power of attorney and doing all of those things. I think a lot of that planning gets put aside when we're busy living life until it's too late. So, you know.
I agree. And I'm learning to use my CRM much more effectively. I do send the WAG, the week at a glance, to everyone, even if they're a new card, free card, you know, and the Tuesday Tech, I actually have a list of people that I email the day before to remind them to be on here to learn.
Yep.
And I'm using my CRM. It's going to be automated for me, so I won't have to make that list more than once.
Yep, that's great. That's great. And look, you get out what you put in, right? I mean, I think about it in every area of my life. If I'm willing to put in the energy and the effort, and we talk about today's and this week's theme, goals and action items, you got to take an action in order to get a result, right? Doesn't matter what you're working on. You got to take an action in order to get a result. Now, Rose Michelle, I see your question here. If a family member wants an affiliate account and they live in the same household, is that allowed? Absolutely. We do accounts on an individual basis, and it's tied to an email address. So as long as those two individuals are using separate email addresses, they can still have the same billing address, shipping address, etc., and they can build their own lines or their own affiliate programs independent of one another. So completely allowed. Another tip or trick out there that most people don't realize is one person can enroll another family member, right? And now that person is sort of getting the double benefit of I guess you would term it stacking, you know what I mean? But really it's of the affiliate program, because you get paid out on multiple degrees of separation. In a lot of businesses, you'll focus on friends and family as potential first customers or first team members. That's not something we typically say, oh, that's the main focus, but that is definitely something we want to make aware to everybody, right? Like, hey guys, look, I'm working on this. I'm working on a venture that's going to create passive residual income. This is what I'm doing for myself. And you might want to take a look. You might need the technology. You might need the opportunity. This company makes it both available. And to Anna's point, we invite you to share out that week at a glance card, that WAG card, and invite people to get involved. You know, if they just go at it blindly, you know, it's like skipping school every day. You're not going to get as smart as if you would have shown up to class, right? Okay, any other questions or thoughts or tips or tricks or discussion points we want to talk about? I'll remind you today's or this week's theme is goals and action items. I do have stuff I can talk about, but honestly don't want to sit up here and just be the guy talking, right? Give a countdown. 5, 4.
Goal setting. I'm going to jump in on goal setting.
Yes.
I set my goals for years, and about I guess nine years ago, I learned a program of how to back it up, how to set the big one, because I never tied them together. You know, every day I'd say, okay, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. And I never tied together that with my end goal.
Yeah.
And there's several great programs for doing that. So tie into one, find the forms, whatever you need to do, and take a little time each week to get through that process. Amazing to take this great big goal out here, you know, that seems so big, and break it down to annual, semi-annual, quarterly, weekly, or monthly, weekly, and daily. And you see how little it takes each week to move towards that goal every day. It's amazing.
I agree. And thank you for that tip, Anna. You know, I don't talk about my personal life and my personal self all that often, but I've got some good examples from the goal setting. One of the first big goals, and I'm going to share this with everybody. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. Maybe I'll stop my video here. If you've gotten a chance to scan my QR, great. If not, watch the replay, I guess. But I want to share this, right? It's a big championship ring. It says state champion. For those of you who may know, this is for Columbine High School. I was a class of 2000. You may remember there was a school shooting in 1999. This is the following year. And I remember coming back to school and everything was in disarray. And we just had this big tragedy. And as an athlete, we wanted to come together and not just support and win for our program, but for the community. And I remember coming into that, and our coach, Coach Andy Lowry, and he's still a coach over there right now, you know, gathered us together as a team and said, look, here's what that big, hairy, audacious goal is. We're not going to be, shot down in this way. We're going to rise up and we're going to support our community and show that we can overcome. And he planted that seed for us that we were going to win the state championship the following year. And I thought that was so powerful and inspirational to myself and my fellow team members. But it wasn't just, to Anna's point about having that goal. It was then saying, how do we get there? How do we get there? Because in order to get to the playoffs, in order to win the state championship, you have to get to the playoffs. In order to get to the playoffs, you have to win a certain number of games. And in order to win a certain number of games, you have to plan and prepare to execute for each individual game, starting with the first game, right? So that's how you sort of back out of that big, hairy, audacious goal. And then you start preparing and you set those inspirations and motivations and whys for yourself. And I think that's a big thing if we're talking about a tip or a trick, is why do you want to achieve your goal? Ask yourself that big question. Why do I want to achieve this goal? If it's a health goal, maybe it's to feel better, to look better, to be more active. If it's a finance goal, maybe it's to pay off debt or secure financial freedom or just be able to buy groceries without looking at the price because of inflation. Again, there's a why behind everything that you do. There's a reason why you take an action and a motivation or an inspiration behind that. And if you can start identifying that for yourself when you set these goals, you'll be much more capable and likely to achieve that goal, especially if you remind yourself consistently about your why. I think that's super duper powerful there.
And a great thing too, just to tie in the package, because you've drawn this thing out, you put it on paper, and I will say, put it on paper because your mind grabs it a lot easier than it does just reading it out on a computer. Your hand to brain access. Put those daily steps on your vision board for your why. You've got your why over here. Get your picture up there so you're affected every day by that vision board. But every day when you're making choices about what services to buy, what products to use, who to do business with, how to do business with, networking groups, you can look at your big goal and your dailies, and you can say, is this keeping me on that path? It's so much easier to do.
1,000%, Anna, 1,000%. And I remember I had a mentor. I still have him as a mentor of mine, a very successful 7-figure earner in his business. And I remember I was over at his house, a very nice house in a very nice community. And we were in his wine cellar, if it gives you an indication of his property. And up on the shelf of his wine cellar was his vision board. And I remember seeing the picture of the house. I remember seeing the picture of the car. I remember seeing the monetary stuff. There were other things on there. Obviously, a lot of the times we focus on tangible items and things like that. And then I remember looking in the garage, and there was the car, and there was the hat. You know, he said, look, I practice what I preach, right? If you want to get somewhere, you need to put it down in writing. You need to visualize it. And he used to go through this exercise, and I think it's an exercise all of us can apply. I've done it for myself as well. And it's when you sit back there and when you dream or when you broadcast out what that big goal or accomplishment is going to be, you have to visualize that with so much clarity, he would say, so much clarity that you can see it, that you can smell it, that you can taste it in a way. And when you can visualize it and see it in that way, you're so much more likely to achieve it. And then you have to visualize it and remind yourself of that visualization, right? Hang that vision board on the wall all the time. Think about the activities and the tasks that are related to that, and then get to work. Whatever's going to be your why and whatever's going to inspire you, that's what's going to get you over that hump of, I don't feel like, getting out of bed today, or I don't feel like waking up, I'm going to snooze the time, the alarm clock, etc. And then when you're breaking these goals down, because a lot of us have these, you call a BHAG, right? Big, hairy, audacious goal, the BHAG. If you have a BHAG, it may seem insurmountable. It's like, I've climbed a few, I live in Colorado, I've climbed a few 14ers, very high peaks in Colorado. And there are these things called false summits. And, there are multiple mile hikes all the way up to the top and all the way back. And there's a process you go through, right? You get above the tree line and you're like, why am I doing this? What am I looking to achieve? They call mountain climbers the conquistadors of the nothing. You know what I mean? What are we going to do up here? I could turn back now and nobody would know if I made it to the top or not. All of that goes through. You hit the fall summit. I'm right at the top. And then you see it keeps going up again. All of these things, what's going to be the inspiration that's going to continue to make you get to the end goal? And how can you break that down in a way to where it is something that is doable and achievable? And I've heard this study, I've implemented it for myself. I'm going to share it with you guys because I think it's so powerful. When you break down your goal to achievable action items or little daily goals or weekly goals, think about or consider this process, because Guy and I have talked about this so many times. If you commit to a daily process, inevitably you will achieve your goal. It's just going to be a matter of how much you want to compress the time, because you can break your goal down to steps that are so achievable. You could be working on them daily and then it might extend your timeline out. But here's the key to that. If you want to be achieving your daily or weekly goal, when you break it down, ask yourself this one question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely am I to get this action item done? Okay, full stop. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely am I to get this action item done? And if you answer to yourself anything an 8 or lower, you need to break the goal down into a smaller step. If you answer for yourself a 9 or a 10, you're right in the right mind frame. Here's what I mean by this, okay? If I say I'm going to call 100 people today, okay? Think about that for yourself. I'm going to call 100 people today. On a scale of 1 to 10, in your mind or in the chat, how likely would you be to call 100 people today? For some people, maybe they're calling, I remember James Flowers used to call like 250 people a day, right? So 100 people a day, that's a 10 out of 10, no problem. I'm already doing that, plus 150%. However, if you answered and said, whew, I'm a 1 out of 10 on that, then you don't set that as your daily goal. You say, okay, what about 50 or what about 25 or what about 10 or what about 5? Maybe you just need to set a goal to call one person today. If you say not 100, but can I call one person today? and everybody on this call says, yes, I'm a 10 out of 10. After this call gets up, I can pick up the phone. I can call one person and I can reach out to them. Maybe it's a follow-up. Maybe it's an introduction. Maybe it's, I'm going to share you some information. You set a goal that you know that you can achieve. And then think about that. If you set that goal and said, okay, if I put down 100 people today and I just don't feel like I'm a 1 out of 10, so I don't do it at all, right? If I'm not going to achieve the goal, I'm not going to work on it at all. And then you do that again consistently. By the time a week goes by, you've called 0 people. You know, if you set a goal and say, hey, I'm a 10 out of 10, I can call 1 person today. And you do that consistently every day. How many people have you called in a year at minimum? 365. Think about that, 365. And here's the reality. As you go back and review your goals and set your expectations, we talk about sprint planning every week. We talk about maybe a retrospective of the week before. Did I win more days than I lost? Did I win the week? When you look at that, the first week you might be calling a person every day, Monday through Friday. That's 5 people. The following week, when you review it, you might say, you know, I'm being pretty consistent. I want every day of that goal to call 1 person a day. Do you think I could call 2? Do you think I could call 3? And you start increasing the number or the level of activity. We would call that momentum, right? We want to get started so we can build momentum. You want to start building that momentum, and eventually your 1 a day, 1 quarter or 3 months later is like 5 a day. And you're consistent with it. And you're like, whoa, you know, that's achievable. I'm going to give you an example of this, and it's in the health and wellness side. 10 years ago, I can't believe it. It's now more than 10 years ago. My wife and I decided to stop eating beef and fowl, right? Chicken, beef, pork, all of that type of stuff. Essentially vegetarian, except for if you want to get technical, it's pescatarian. We eat fish every now and then. And I'll tell you what, the first week that we started, it wasn't cold turkey, right? We just said, well, let's limit it to 2 days a week. Oh, wow, that wasn't too bad. You know, a month goes by, let's limit it to 1 day a week. Oh, okay, you know, hey, let's limit it to twice a month, to once a month, to once a quarter, to once. Now it's 10 years later. I don't know how I got here, but here I am, and I haven't touched beef or fowl or pork in 10 years. Blows my mind because I was a kid raised on meat and potatoes. And yet it was this steady progression over time, guys. That's the result. We don't achieve goals overnight. Maybe the daily goal we achieve every day, but I'm talking about your big, hairy, audacious goal. We don't achieve it overnight. So let's make a plan that breaks our goals down into action items. We are all capable of doing this, guys. We are all capable. There is hope for all of us. We can all sit down and break things down to something so minute that we're a 10 out of 10. I would almost argue in that 8 or less, if it's 9 or less, you need to break it down even smaller. If you can't say I'm a 10 out of 10 likelihood to achieve each of these action items, then you need to break the action item to something smaller. And then once you break it to something smaller, that's going to get you over the force of friction to start taking action. And the reality is, that's the biggest blocker for most of us. We like the idea, or we'll sit here and dream, or we'll have the vision, but we'll never get started. The whole goal of any journey is to get started, and that starts with a single step. We've all heard it before. So, guys, I'm going to get off my soapbox here. Does anybody have anything else they want to contribute to the conversation? Ruben, I see your hand up, so it's your turn, my friend.
Yes, ER. In light of what you were saying, the action items too, there's one action item that I try to follow is set a time for inspirational reading so I get my mindset squared away. And for our benefit here, I created a YouTube video on a speaker, an author that we heard Tuesday at our leaders book review. It's called Your Secret Weapon by Byron G. Sable, Creating the Ultimate Business and Career Relationship. You heard of the 80-20 rule or whatever. He says the 1 to 99 or 1 to 98. In other words, there's someone out there that you build such a strong relationship that you can go somewhere and you won't have to worry about what they're talking about you. They're advocates of you. They're that strong. They help you. They have your back. He says that's the kind of relationship that you really want. So for your benefit, I put the link of the YouTube video in the chat for your review. And I think you'll enjoy it. It's 14 minutes long.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm actually going to remember to do that. If you haven't checked in the chat as well, take an opportunity to click on Ruben's link there. I'm all about, guys, information is power, knowledge is power. We've all heard this before. You got to pour into yourself and get educated. I talked about, and Ruben, you mentioned the 80-20 rule, right? 20% knowledge, 80% action. Don't get to 100% knowledge and zero action, guys. That's the key on a lot of this. Your secret weapon that Ruben was just talking about, I want to offer a complimentary book as well that talks about the power of networking. And it's really the power of who. The power of who. I think it's a Bob Bodine book. If I remember the author, I know it's called The Power of Who. And again, we almost all of us, and I would almost wager on this, that we all right now in our network have everybody we already have in our network. We have the power to get to where we want to go right now. If you wrote down what your goal is, there's a good chance within the collection of people within your network as it exists today can create the momentum and the access to where you want to get to. And in my opinion, okay, I would much rather have an active network of less than 100 people who, to Ruben's point, are champions of each other, supporting each other, working together, referring business, and really helping each other out than 1,000 or 10,000 people in a contact list, who I don't interact with. I maybe reached out to one time. I maybe pushed some information out to. Our biggest champions are the people who are going to give us referrals, who are going to talk to us, who are going to be our champions. I don't go out and prospect that much anymore because I have inbound people coming to me. Hey, you need to meet my friend ER. He's going to help you out. He's a tech guy. He can do this. He can do that, etc. And all of a sudden, I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, let me talk to that person. If Anna just gave me a referral, anybody Anna thinks I should meet, I need to talk to. You know what I mean? Like, that's the mentality. And then all of a sudden, now I've got a steady stream of people that I'm interacting with. I think all of us are capable if we work our networks properly, the ones we have right now. So, Ruben, thank you for contributing to that on the goal side and on the networking side.
You're welcome.
Oh, go ahead.
You're welcome.
Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, guys, we're about halfway through our allotted time slot. I don't want to take up all the time if you guys don't want to take it up with me. So here's the call to action. Are there anybody else out there who has something to contribute to the conversation, either something to add or a question? Please throw it in the chat, or raise your hand like Anna and Ruben did and join the conversation. Sanders as well, thank you for contributing on that. Anna, so true. Dreams are goals without action. But think about this. That means your dreams can become goals if you put actions behind them. We are capable of dreaming such amazing things, but we at times think they're so unachievable because we don't take the time to think about the actions behind them. I'm going to give you guys some examples about that because there's so many examples in my own life where completely has become a reality. And I don't say this to be braggadocious in any way or anything like that, but only to offer an example about what we're talking about. My wife and I moved to this community called Highlands Ranch in Colorado, just a few miles away from where I grew up as a Colorado native in Littleton. And my wife said, I always want to live in this community. So we found a house in this community and we would walk the neighborhood, the parks, and the paths all the time. And while we would walk, we would dream of our forever home. And we found a place that we would walk by consistently that back to the open space, looks over the Colorado Rockies, had all of the ticking of the boxes of sort of your dream home list. And I would always tell my wife as we walked by these communities, oh, you see these houses right here? If ever we had a choice to live somewhere, I think we should live in one of those. And my wife would say, oh, that's just a dream. That's just a dream, right? And my wife was traveling for work one time several years ago. My goodness, it's almost 10 years ago. And I I called her up and I said, honey, we're going to go to an open house when you return home from work. And she goes, oh, that's fun. I love looking at open houses. And I said, no, for our forever home. One of the houses that we've been pointing at has come on the market. And she said, oh, you're being crazy, right? That's just a dream. She got back, we looked at the house, and she said, well, how are we going to make this happen? And I said, let's come up with a plan. Let's figure it out. I had a good friend who lived, several miles away, like 20 miles away, who had always talked about moving to the community that we were in. And I said, I've got an idea. I don't know if it's going to work. It's just crazy enough it might. What if we take our existing home, we sell it to my friend and his wife, they become our neighbor, and then we buy our forever home? Oh, that's so crazy. I pitched it to my friend. We brought in the real estate agents, and the real estate agent said, but your friend has to sell their home. And I said, well, what needs to be fixed? I spent a weekend over at their house fixing everything they had on the checklist. Why? Because my dream was so big that I was willing to do whatever it took along that whole sequence of the plan to put it into action. So I ended up spending a weekend over there at their house. We painted the cabinets, we redid the hardware, we fixed the floors, we did all that type of stuff. And then they listed it on the market. I said, whatever you sell your house for, I will sell you my house. So we did almost like an even exchange. And then we bought our dream or forever home. And that's where I am today. Again, it's because I had a dream. I turned that dream into a goal by creating a series of action items. And then I just executed on those action items, even at times when I didn't think it was going to work out. Like, what if they didn't sell their home? What if we couldn't find a buyer for our home? What if the person selling this home doesn't select my wife and I and wants to sell to somebody else? We did everything we could. We wrote a letter to them. Hey, we're a young couple. We're getting ready to start a family. I'm visualizing my family growing up in your home, all of this type of stuff. And that was a contributing factor. They even said, the real estate agent said, the neighbors said, all of this stuff. Oh, welcome to the community. We're so excited to have you here. They were telling us all about you and why they selected you as the winning bid. Again, what are you willing to do? And can you turn your dream into a goal and put action items behind it? Now, again, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because I want each and every one of you to know and have hope that you can do it for yourself. You just have to put in the effort and the work behind that. So
Greg Boone has a question.
Yeah, Greg.
Raise his hand.
Oh, interesting. Okay, if you can't raise your hand, that's fine. There is a little thing, it says reactions along the bottom of the Zoom. If you guys click on that, you'll see raise hand. But if that's disabled for you, just unmute or put it in the chat. Anna, thanks for bringing that up. Greg, go ahead.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
The question that I have, I'm pretty sure we went over it here not too long ago, but I would like to see how you can make a free card for someone.
Okay. Yes. So I think next Tuesday, I'm going to get with Kathy. We're going to do a training on this specifically. There's going to be a template ID that you're going to be able to look up for the free card. In fact, I'm going to work with Dev to make that free card template just show up for everybody's standard templates. Greg, to your point, I think one of the best strategies, and again, we're talking strategies to reach the end goal, and there are multiple ways to get from LA to New York, if you think about what I'm talking about, right? All we need to do is end up in New York from LA, and it doesn't matter what route we choose. So one of those strategies that we've talked about a lot is getting free business cards in the hands of everybody. Guys talked about the statistics on business cards, the traditional ones, and how abysmal and wasteful it is. So we're on a mission, and that's what I like to tell people. Tell people, Greg, say, I am on a mission to get digital business cards in the hands of every business owner so that we can save the environment, stop the waste, have better productivity, whatever your reasoning behind that mission is. But join us hand in hand in our mission to get business cards, digital business cards, shuffle cards in the hands of everybody. And then the key to doing this, Greg, to your point, you create a contact profile for that person. You're going to go into the promo card and use the free business card template ID. You're going to spin up their card. And here's a key to this. And Kathy will talk about this on training. We've talked about it multiple times. when you fill out the contact information for somebody's card, don't put their contact information in there. Put your own. Put your own. Here's why. I just met Anna in our example. Okay. In my example, I meet Anna. Anna, I'm on a mission to put digital business cards in the hands of everybody in the world so that they can introduce themselves in a whole new way, so that they can generate more prospects, so that they can do X, Y, and Z, save the environment, kill the plastic straw type of thing. Would you accept this gift of a free digital business card? Here's an example of what yours will look like. If you put your information on there, one, they're going to see their card. They aren't able to reshare it out to somebody else and just start using it. They've got to come back to you and say, hey, ER, I love this card, but your information's down there. How do I get my information on there? Oh, Anna, you can create a free account and use this card for yourself. Put your information in there. In addition, there are things like NFC tap technology where you can share just by tapping on people's devices, or you can create premium business cards and any type of landing page to promote yourself, who you are, what you do, and how you help other people. So here's the link to your free account. Again, that free strategy, I want to give you an example on this. I'm just going to pause for a second. How many of you have heard of Google? Anybody out there? How many of you know they provide emails to people? It's Gmail, right? Google Mail, Gmail. How many of you know that when Gmail launched, the way they grew to hundreds of millions, if not billions of Gmail accounts was providing Gmail for free? Same thing with Yahoo. And in fact, every time you would send your Gmail out in the early years, they would have a little banner at the bottom that's like, get your own Gmail account for free. Now, obviously, I'm a little bit like, why didn't they allow us to participate in some of that monetization? But that's for another story. Google grew by giving their product away for free. They monetize in a different way. Obviously, we monetize through subscriptions for more premium services and products. But one strategy to get out there and to really solidify your network is to go out and give away product. That's what in some industries they would call sampling, right? You have an unlimited opportunity to go out and sample. The example for Anna, you would be like, hey, I'm going to give you a free will. Here's free wills all day long. You know what I mean? And then, but you need POA, you need durable power of attorney, you need all of these other things. Well, we can take care of that too. Again, sampling is this, if you've ever been in the nutraceuticals market, hey, try this product out for a week, for a month, for a day, and then let's get back together. Sampling is so powerful. So Greg, thank you for that question. I'm going to take a long story and bring it short. We're going to have a template ID for that. I'm going to try and get it loaded into the standard templates for everybody. And I would suggest using that free business card as one of the examples when you're doing your promo card. And I think a great thing is you have an amazing premium card, right? So share that to that person and then share the free card and then say, here's your free card, but I can also help you get a premium card if that's the path you want to go down. And then in the end, it doesn't matter if they upgrade the same day or a year down the road, because you were the inception of that person, you get credit for all of that. So thanks for that question, Greg. Any other questions?
Absolutely. No, but I did share my chocolate card to a lady, and she absolutely loved it. She says, wow, I checked your link and it is super and amazing. And she asked me if she could promote it for me. And I said, well, due to it being so time consumable for me to make a bunch of chocolate, it would literally take all my time. That wouldn't work out for her to promote that card for me. But I was thinking maybe I could possibly make her a free card and then surprise her with it.
I love it. What a great idea. I wouldn't sell yourself short, though. Take all the promotion and publicity you can get for your chocolates any way you can. If you've ever heard of a little company called See's Candies, you know what I mean? Owned by Warren Buffett, I can guarantee you See's Candies started in a small mom and pop shop or a small home. that was selling chocolate. So never sell yourself short, dream big, my friend, and let people promote you all day long. That's why there's a forward my info on the cards that you can create. But with that being said, I've seen your chocolate card. I love it, the way it looks, the graphics on that, amazing. And other people are seeing that too. So let that be validation to you that what you're doing is working. In fact, when you're sitting there being hesitant about, I don't even know if I could fulfill the orders that I'm getting. That's a good problem in business to have, my friend. So kudos to you on that. And thanks for that question about the free card. Definitely make her an example of that and get it out there. Absolutely. Any other questions, tips, tricks from anybody out there as we talk about goals and action items? All right. Hey, Rose Michelle, I see your question there. Just need to break it down and be more specific, like I was talking about. That's the key. I mean, guys.
And keep track.
Put it in writing and keep track. Measure against it. You know, there are so many different examples on where you can apply the same skill set. I'm going to give you an example. When we used to work out, right, do active weight training, we would have a plan going into the gym. Right? It's not like, oh, I'm just going to stand in the gym and talk to people. No, I'm going to go there and today's going to be upper body and I'm going to do these 10 exercises, or today's going to be lower body and I'm going to do these 6 exercises, or today's going to be cardio and I'm going to do this cardio program. I'm going to walk 10 miles. I'm going to sprint 1 mile, whatever it was. We had a plan going into it. And then we checked it off. Anna, to your point, after we did each of those things, we executed our plan. In some cases, we'd measure it out like, oh yeah, I did this. I did it this many times at this much weight. So when I come back the next week and look against that, I can see whether I'm doing the same, better, or worse. There's a process to all of this, guys. We can put a process in place into every action we take, and that's going to just blast us off in the momentum that we can achieve by following that process. I think that's something that gets so overlooked, maybe because people don't know that there's a process or a system that they can apply to the actions that they're taking, or maybe they just don't want to. Maybe there's a fear of success or a fear of failure. But guys, take that first step, right? Start taking action, make that plan, and to your point, put it down in writing and measure it. This is why Elify and Shuffle provide analytics. If you want to go to your activity today, you can open up your general activity and you can see how many cards you've shared. You can look at it from a daily basis or a weekly basis. You can see how many contacts you've added. If you want to filter down your activities by that, measure yourself and then challenge yourself to meet or exceed your expectations. It is not rocket science, and we are all capable of doing this. We just have to put in the effort, and it's not hard effort. So, you know, that's the big challenge there. Anna, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I do. Big mouth here.
No, I love it. Thank you for joining the conversation.
It's so important to measure it, even when you don't reach your goals. By just doing the activity of looking at them, working towards them, and tracking them, you will automatically, the universe will pull you forward. It's not, you're going to have to push your way forward. The universe will pull you forward to your goals.
1,000%, Anna, 1,000%. And it doesn't take all that much extra effort to do, to track, to manage, to monitor, to reflect.
Check them off. When you cross them off or check them off, there's power in that, in your brain, in the universe. There's power in it.
I think last week I was holding up a thing that my wife had magnetized to the fridge. You know, it was her 18-week plan for running a half marathon. And she just last weekend got back from San Diego after completing her half marathon. She has her little medal. She's so excited about achieving that goal, setting that goal, working and making daily progress towards that goal, and finally achieving that goal. And she even told me before, I had set that goal years earlier and I just didn't make it. You know what I mean? And now I did. And she said, I needed a list and I needed things to just strike through. And we talked about that, taking an activity. They didn't start her out running 13 miles on day one, everybody. That plan or that process over 18 weeks, the first one was like jog a mile, you know what I mean? Or walk a half a mile. All of this stuff can be broken down to something that you know you have the confidence level to be a 10 out of 10 on. And then as you strike through, to Anna's point, you start building momentum. Was the first week hard for my wife? Heck yes, it was hard. It was the hardest thing she'd done because she was starting something new. The second week, a little harder. The third week, a little easier. The fourth week, a little easier than that. And then she started to get into what you would call momentum. Anna, that's what you're talking about, where you just start getting pulled along, where she was like, hey, she started telling me, I got to get my run in. Oh, I got to get my training in. I'm like prioritizing those things because she was so motivated to strike it off the list. If you don't have something down in writing, what are you going to strike through? Or what are you going to measure against? There's so much subconscious power behind that, Okay, everybody.
There's two elements that I'd like to add.
Yeah, Guy, thanks for joining. Good to have you on.
Most definitely. There's two things that I like to emphasize in this, and we really haven't talked a ton about them. I think we sprinkle it in. One is comfort zone.
Yeah.
People will fail in their comfort zone. And that success is going through the uncomfortable procedure. Like, you've got to go through a procedure to be successful. And success is not for everyone. We talked about it last week. As an affiliate offering, we can offer it. How many people take opportunity of it? Mm-hmm. There's a slim to none number when you talk to people. Like, we could sit in a room offering shuffle to somebody the first day, guarantee it, because it's happened for 10 years. That you can sit there and say, here's an opportunity, and we'll help the people who want to lean forward and do it. And we can guarantee success. And I'll fill in here why we can guarantee it as well, and why we encourage people to do it. We can guarantee your success when you lean forward and you do the action items. You've got to do the action items, but you can also guarantee people will fail at it, because I know you say it all the time, challenge. When being athletes, we like to be challenged, but I think more and more you read, people don't like to be challenged. People turn away from challenges, and it's sad, because that's a different mentality than what we grew up with and what we continue to go through within business. Like, we're challenged to have new things. So we get after it. But I think one of the biggest things to all of this, and why we work well together, is the accountability. But we're not accountable to each other. We've got layers of accountability, right? So if I were an affiliate, I would have a layer of accountability to my upline, to my downline, to my family that's seeing me work, that I'm saying I'm going to do something, because the process is a process for any opportunity out there. It's that 4-letter word of work, right? And that opportunity didn't work for me. Did the opportunity not work for you, or did you not work for you? So it's having those levels of accountability. So if there is someone who likes to get challenged, here's the challenge. Look for 5 to 10 layers of accountability, right? A layer could be Elify insiders, Elify affiliates, who invited you to shuffle, who you invited to shuffle, your significant other. Right there's 5. That's quick.
Yeah. How hard was that, Guy? How hard was that? You took the action, you came up with 5 in 5 seconds.
Right. And it's, I don't have to do something every day, but I should do something at a minimum every week. Sure. And be accountable to them and show them my examples. We're having a meeting with marketing here later, and I know they're coming together with projects or things to offer. But I think it's the same metric that we look at is who's going to lean in on the offer. We'll be accountable to you, you be accountable to us, and we can guarantee that success. We always talk about, next 90 days. People need to look at today. People need to look at tomorrow. People need to look at this week. Because if you can't be accountable to, and this is where the whole accountability is, I mentioned 5. The biggest one that matters the most is to yourself. You've got to be accountable to yourself. So if I'm saying last Friday, there's an opportunity to extend, and if you get 3, and if I'm saying, we'll take James, for example. James says, I'm going to have 3 by the end of the day. He put it out there. He put accountability to the network. He put accountability to me, to ER, to himself. We talked a couple times after. His accountability worked. He got 3. It'll carry on. And once you start seeing success and being accountable to yourself, it becomes a little more simpler. You talk to your wife preparing for a marathon and being successful in a marathon. Probably marathon runners are the single most headstrong group of people out there, because they know they have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They know they have to get there. You've got to turn your mind off. You've got to go elsewhere when you're in that 20th mile. And guarantee, I don't want to be successful at being a marathon runner, so you will never catch me doing that. I'm too darn big to go run a marathon. But, look at who are you accountable to, and making sure that you're accountable to yourself. On that, I would say first and foremost, but also at the very end of that thing, I'm going to be the most accountable individual to myself. You can do a challenge with yourself from a physical aspect. You can do a challenge from yourself from a spiritual, mental, whatever, and put that in every day. But don't let the word challenge scare you away. Don't let the word challenge scare other people away. If it scares them away, they're not mentally strong enough to do it.
Not true.
So it's getting out of comfort zones. It's getting out of the thinking mode. There's so many times ER is one of the most amazing minds from conceptually and bringing things together. But a lot of times it's like, let's get it done. Well, think about that. No, let's not think about it. Let's just get this done. And we love it, because that's how we play so well together. And that's how we can keep each other accountable is we get out of that thinking about it and we get into that action. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to get feedback without action. You're not going to get people talking to you or getting people to come back and having a conversation if you don't take that action. It's not going to happen. The work that you don't put in, you shouldn't expect winning, right? You shouldn't expect that you're going to be successful if you don't put the work in. Soapbox, sorry, getting off.
And I saw your hand up. We'll take this last comment, question, tip or trick from you, and then we'll start to round this thing down. So Anna, come on, and please add to the conversation.
I'm going to challenge you on that, guy. 90% of sales and marketing and all of the training on personal development out there is based on sports analogies on the male viewpoint. It is different for women. The word challenge is different for women. So we have started a trend as women, and we have found that women respond to being edified, encouraged, and empowered. It's a different level, but I don't know about you, most women, but sports analogies, I did all the stuff in high school. I did all of that, but the sports analogies really just do not, they're push tactics.
Right.
Push tactics. And men are driven. Women are all relationship, all being friends and working together to build each other up. And yeah, you start out weak because we're not practiced at doing those things. We've not been trained in our society to do those things. So caution.
I love it.
Women
appreciate it. Yeah. I so appreciate that viewpoint, Anna, because again, we want everybody to be successful. We want to empower everybody to know that they are capable, that there is hope independent of where they are at, to get from where they are to where they want to go in every single area that they want to work on. And they need to find what works best for them and lean into that. And if you feel like the challenge pushes you away, look, here's that. You can do it. There are two sides to how I worked in sports. One was the side that needed that empowerment, that needed that encouragement, that needed that you can do it, right? And the other side was the group that said, you can't, prove me wrong. You know what I mean? And I think it works differently for all types of people, but at the baseline, in its simplest form, you still have to get the knowledge, take the action, get the knowledge, take the action, and then find your tribe, your group, to Guy's point, of accountability partners who are going to inspire, motivate, give you hope, empower you in the way that best supports you and your methodology. Just don't give up the hope that it's doable for you. You know what I mean? That's the big message that we're trying to get across. So I truly appreciate that insight, and we'll look to continue to get that insight from, everybody in the community. And I think that's what's so important about us here at Elify. This is a community, right? This is a community of different people from all walks of life and different age groups, all working towards their own individual goals. And we want everybody to be successful. In fact, in our term, success is this round life thing. It's not just about success in one area. It's about success in all areas. Yes, we'll talk about our affiliate program or the technology, but there's all these areas. Ruben mentioned meditation and spirituality. These are all big components. Independent of what you believe, you can lean in to those areas and take yourself wherever you want to go. At the end of the day, we're just a group of guys, right? Some technologists creating some cool software that we know can help people. At the end of the day, we're just a community that wants to work together to create change and make things better. And so we want to invite everybody to lean in to that and to really take advantage of that. We don't charge extra for the 4 calls that we do every day, even though Guy and I have bugs in our ears all the time that are like, stop giving it away, charge for it, monetize it, do this. And I'm sitting there going, look, here's the reality, guys. I'm gonna shoot you straight. Here's the reality. 90% of people who learn something aren't gonna implement it. You could give away information all day long. You could show people the secret to success. And here's the reality. Unless they've established their why, unless they've created the plan, unless they've broken that plan down into daily actions and are committed to taking action, independent of how they empower themselves to do that through what type of inspiration and motivation, if they don't take those steps, they will never reach their full potential. And here's the reality, Guy. I remember Born to Win, the Zig Ziglar book we started out the end of the year with, where Zig is getting asked the question from the main stage. Why, if this is the path, then why isn't everybody successful? And here's the reality. Zig turns around and he says, first of all, not everybody wants to be successful. Think about that. Not everybody wants to be successful. And number 2, not everybody's willing to do what it takes to be successful. That's the other thing. You can want all you want, right? Guy, you've used the analogy, want in one hand and do something in the other hand and see which one materializes for you first. Wanting something and taking action on it are 2 different things. So with that being said, guys, I mentioned 4 calls. We're on the Thursday call. This is our Thursday Roundtable Mastermind. Happens every single Thursday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 Central. Adjust for your time zone. On Friday, we're going to be doing Friday with the founders. This is all on our week at a glance card, guys. If you don't have that, I am putting it into the chat right now. So everybody has that. To Anna's point earlier, feel free to share this out. These are free calls. Open it up. We want to grow the community and we want people to join the conversation. We wrap up or start off the week. Wrap up the week with Friday with the founders, start off the week with our Monday sprint planning. It came up in conversation today. You got to make a plan. You got to stick to your plan. Then it'll deliver for you, right? So think about that. What is your plan for the week? Do it on a weekly basis at a minimum. Look at the daily activities and measure against your progress like we talked about today. Then our 4th call, Tuesday, Tech Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central with Master Trainer Kathy Inman. Everybody on this call who's participated in that will testify to you and give you a testimonial of how great that call is and how well it will prepare you to leverage the technology that you have at your disposal. Now, Guy, you talked about challenge. Anna, empowerment and encouragement. Here is what I want to encourage everybody on this call to do. Okay, this is what I want to encourage you to do. If you heard something today on this call that you thought was great, go back in the YouTube replay, find that element and send out the link with that timestamp on it to somebody. I just heard this, or I thought of this, and I thought of you, and I thought this would empower or encourage you today, and just share that with them. Okay, that's the first one. If you need a challenge, here's the challenge for everybody. I'm going to challenge you guys to invite, and make sure when I say invite, don't just go out and send an invite. Bring a guest with you to a call next week. Not all 4 calls. Let's not go over the moon here. Let's make it something achievable for everybody. But pick one call. Maybe it's a training call. Maybe it's Friday with the founders where we talk about all things Elify. Maybe it's this Thursday roundtable and that person can ask their own questions and we can collectively work together to bring value to that person for free. And they'll see how amazing our community is. Okay, there's my encouragement. Encourage somebody else, share some information with them. Maybe it's this video, maybe it's another video, but we can all get out and share. And then I'm going to challenge you, not just invite, bring somebody to a future call. This could be a family member. Rose Michelle, you talked about this. You have a family member who needs to hear some of the same stuff you're hearing, bring it. You know, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a colleague. I'm so blessed to have Guy as my partner and accountability person, because I'll tell you what, we're not at the top of our game every single day. And we're there to support each other. That's one of mine, myself, Guy, my community. Look, if nobody showed up to these calls, how encouraged would I be to show up to these calls? Right. I'm here because you guys are here. You guys are my motivation and my encouragement. You know, you may not realize that, but I'm so passionate about helping you guys that I want to see each and every one of you reach your full potential and achieve every goal that you want for yourself. So with that being said,
save the chat.
Yeah, you guys can download the chat if you need those links or anything like that. I appreciate the comments and contributions from everybody on this call today. We're going to be wrapping this up because we're 7 minutes over. Guy and I are 7 minutes late for our next meeting.
Keep going.
Right. But here it is, guys. I thank you guys so much for just contributing your time. I think that's the most valuable resource we all have. You guys just spent a little of it with us today. I hope that you got something out that's going to reap massive ROI for you, even if it's just making that first plan or setting that daily or weekly goal. With that being said, we'll be back on tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 Central. Adjust for your time zone, Friday with the founders. If you've accepted that challenge, that might be your first opportunity to win. And everybody needs a W. That's what brings the momentum to win the challenge. Invite somebody to come on and listen or join in a community where we talk all things Elify. So I will see you guys tomorrow for that Friday with the founders. Thanks again for your time today. And we'll talk to everybody soon. Make sure you've connected, scanned the QR codes, downloaded the chat. If you need anything, please reach out. Thanks again, everybody, for your contributions.